Alright, so Thanksgiving. First and foremost, thank you for ordering from us. We really, really appreciate it. One of my favorite holidays, eat and watch football. Two of my favorite things to do. But we're going to jump right into it. This is really, really simple. I'm just going to go through the whole meal here. If you only bought part of it or certain things, you can just kind of watch the whole thing and pick and take out what you need to. I've already taken our turkey breasts out of the bag. These turkey breasts have been brined in buttermilk for 24 hours and then air dried for 2 days in front of a fan in a walk-in. So you'll feel that the skin is starting to get taut and to dry out a bit. I'm going to set my oven to 450. That's 450 Fahrenheit. I do not have a convection oven, so there's no fan. If you're going to use a convection oven and you want to use the fan, I'd do 400, 415, somewhere in there with the fan. So first thing, we've got our turkey here. This turkey is raw, so we're going to hit it with a little bit of oil. I'm going to use grapeseed because it has a really high smoking point. Canola, soy, peanut, all those are good for roasting. If all you have is olive oil, that's fine. Just be careful of what gets on the tray because it can burn. So we got that, and then, so like I said, the turkey's already been brined. So we're going to season it, but we're not going to season it really heavy. Just some salt. And you'll see that the wings I left on the cavity. It's really more so to just kind of protect the breasts as it cooks, but they're also delicious as well. We'll cut them off and put them on the plate with everything. But if you want to save them, you can make, you can pick it and make some sort of pasta or turkey enchiladas or whatever leftovers you want to do. So we've got salted, and I really like black pepper, so I'm going to put black pepper on my turkey. I like a good amount. And luckily, I already preheated my oven before I started doing this video, so I'm just going to get this going right away. And one thing that you got to think about is your oven itself. Does it run hot? Does it run cold? Are there hot spots? All these different things. You know your oven way better than I do. I know my oven is calibrated because I calibrated it the other day. So I know it's going to run a true 450. So just keep that in mind because we don't want to burn this or overcook it. So let's get it started. Okay, our turkey's been in for 15 minutes at 450 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like right now. I'm going to push it 10 more minutes in there. And then we're going to get our turkey legs roasting in the oven as well. So after 15 minutes, very, very hot in there. You can see the skin really, really tight. Smells super aromatic. We just want to let this go so we can start to get some color on it. You'll see on the back, this right here will always start to get color first because there's no meat under it. The breasts are all right here. And this is always going to get a little bit darker. But I'm going to rotate the bird. That's always really important when you're baking, when you're cooking, doing anything in an oven. So I had my bird in like this. So I'm going to change it so the bird's in like this. It makes more even color when you cook or bake in an oven. So we're going to throw this back in. And while this is still roasting, we're going to take another tray. And then you have your legs here. These legs have been cured in an allium cure. Onion, shallot, garlic, parsley, salt. And then they get washed off after 24 hours in that. And then we put them in a cryovac bag with a little bit of duck fat and some sage, and we cooked them at, I believe, 63 degrees Celsius, 63 or 64 degrees Celsius for 24 hours. And they yield just a really nice and tender, but like nice and unctuous turkey that is far from dry. So what we're going to do is go ahead and open this up. You can smell it when you open it. The sage is really strong. And you want to just kind of like peel the sage back from the legs themselves because we can just throw that away. So you'll see gelatinized liquid on the outside of the legs. It's fine. Just try to like pull off as much as you can in the bag. A little bit's fine. So these are going to go on here like that. This is what I'm talking about. You just want to kind of like pull this off. It's just coagulant for the protein cooking. That's all it is. Let me wash my hands. And so we're going to take these and get them in the oven roasting with our turkey. So we've got our legs in, we've got our breasts roasting. So basically what's going to happen here is we're going to pull both of those pretty much at the same time, put them on our cutting board, let them rest for probably 15 to 20 minutes. And during that 15 and 20 minutes, we're going to cook and reheat all our sides, our gravy, and our Parker House rolls all during that time. So once this is ready, this is rested nicely, we can slice it, put it on a plate, put all our stuff out, and it's done. So, all right, it's been another 10 minutes at 450 degrees. We've got our legs in, we've got our breasts in. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the breast out so you can see. So you can see in just that 10 minutes, it started really getting color on the side that was towards the back of the oven. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to flip it again. So this side is facing the back of the oven. And I'm going to go ahead, I can feel these breasts starting to cook. I'm going to go ahead and lower it to 375 degrees. 375. And the purpose of that is we'll get even browning on it as it cooks, and it'll slow down the cooking of the breasts themselves. Cooking's all about like windows of perfection, right? Like, you know, and the longer you can make that window, the better off you're going to be. So that's the point of lowering it now. We've already started to establish color. Now we're going to slow it down, make sure the breasts cook nicely, and make sure we get even color on this. And you can just leave your legs in there for now. Alright, so it's been 10 more minutes at 375. 10 to 15 minutes, about that. I'm going to go ahead and pull the bird out while leaving the wings in. You can see the bird started to get really nice color all over. My legs are still in. I'm going to push this up to 400. Yeah, 400. So we can get some color on the outside of that. If at home you're going to use a thermometer, you want to test with a thermometer. You want your bird to be about 150 degrees at the thickest part of the breast. You want to test about right here. It's the fattest, meatiest part of it. I'm just using a cake tester because I don't have a thermometer here. You're also going to see that when you stick your cake tester or thermometer or whatever in, the juice is going to run clear. And I can feel that that's pretty much done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this rest. I'm going to put this back in at 400 for about 5 to 10 more minutes. I think right on the bone, it's just a hair under. So this is going to go back in at 400. Okay, so we just put the turkey back in. To start our sides, the first thing we're going to do is the brown butter stuffing because this has to bake completely. We've got our turkey in and our legs in at 400. That's fine for this. You're going to go ahead and you're just going to open it up. You can see, unbaked, ready to go. In here, you've got pan de mie, you've got Parmesan cheese, you've got brown butter, sage, some parsley, chive, celery, and onion. It's really, really delicious. You can smell, smells like Thanksgiving to me. We're going to go ahead and drop this in. And that's going to bake 20 minutes, 25 minutes, somewhere in there, at about 400. So by the time our turkey comes out, it rests, our stuffing comes out, give it a minute to rest so it settles down in the pan because it's going to really kind of souffle up. Should be perfect timing. Alright, the turkey's been in there for 5 more minutes. We're going to go ahead. I'm going to take out my breasts and my legs right now. So our stuffing's starting to bubble in there. Our turkey looks beautiful. Our legs look beautiful. So I'm leaving the oven on 400. So once again, thickest part of the breast. Yeah, it's perfect. And you got to keep in mind, you know, if you're using a thermometer and it comes out and it says 148 or 149, I would just, you know, 100, even 147. This is so hot right now, it's going to keep cooking. That's the purpose of what we're doing. And because basically the protein is so hot that the juices are trying to escape it. And what we want to do is let it rest so it gets to the point where we want it and the juices kind of reabsorb into the meat. I can see this is going to be nice. So I'm going to take this off the sheet tray. I'm just going to use tongs. Just be careful not to tear your skin on your breasts. And this is the beauty of cooking your bird separate, is we've got breasts that are cooked to about 150 degrees, and then we also have our legs that were already confit for 24 hours that are really beautiful, that are going to come out and rest alongside our bird. So we have the whole turkey here. It's just separated. This should be perfect and this should be perfect at the same time. When it's connected, this is always nasty and overcooked and dry, and these are still pretty good. Not as good as they are now, but still pretty good. But the breast just gets nasty. So while these start to rest, we got our stuffing in. Next thing I'm going to put in is our green bean casserole. You're going to open this up. And without a lid or anything, we're going to take this and we're going to put it in here. Next, we're going to open up our mashed potatoes. And I'm going to grab a little bit of tin foil, just because we don't want the top to dry out when we reheat these. And we're going to cover these up, and we're also going to put this in the oven. Okay? So one thing I forgot is I want to take all the drippings and everything from our turkey legs, and I'm going to roast the vegetables in those drippings. Open up our vegetables. You can see we've got brassicas, we've got sunchokes, we've got cauliflower, we got Romanesco cauliflower, we've got delicata squash, we've got roasted carrots, just everything that's really delicious at the market. We're going to take this. It's most of it, other than the broccoli de ciccio, has all been blanched or par roasted. So just to make this really easy. So we're going to take this and put it on our tray. And just kind of take it and move it around. There's Brussels sprouts in here too. And then we're just going to take this and put it on the top rack and let it roast at 400 while all our sides heat up. Lastly, or not lastly, but I'm going to take the lid off the Parker House rolls. These are already cooked. We're also going to put a little bit of tin foil on this just because we want it to kind of steam a little bit as we reheat so they soften up. And I'm not going to put this in the oven yet because those are going to take longer than this, but I am going to put it on a warm part of the stove just to start the process. Other than that, we have our cranberry sauce, which is ready to go. We have our pomegranate relish, which goes on top of the roasted vegetables when they're done. And we have the fried onions and garlic that goes on top of the green bean casserole when it's done. For our gravy, we took all the excess bones from the turkeys, made a stock, cooked it down, thickened it with roux. There's onion, there's celery, sage, thyme, parsley, coriander, black pepper, just lots of different flavors going on in here. We left it a hair thin because I like a thinner gravy. I don't want something that's like really, really heavy. I just want something to kind of like moisten up the stuffing, the turkey, and then a little bit on the potatoes as well. So we left it a little thin. If you want it a little thicker, you can cook it down, but all I'm going to do is reheat it. So I'm just going to take it, I'm going to pour it in a pot. I'm going to use a rubber spatula to make sure I don't throw any of it away because I like gravy. And then we're going to heat it up. As this heats up, because it has cream in it, you want to use a whisk just to like give it a little stir. Once it's hot, you can continue to reduce it a little bit more if you want to, or you can just let it sit. I'm just going to let it sit. Okay, so our sides are cooking right now. Our turkey's still resting, and I put my cranberry sauce in a bowl to serve it. One thing I'm noticing as I'm cooking this is the green bean casserole is taking much longer than everything else. So what I'm going to suggest is that we take it out of the oven and put it in a pan and just heat it up on the stove. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to dump it out, and I'm just going to do it on here because it seems to be taking much longer than everything else, which I'm not really sure why, but it just is. That's cooking sometimes. And then we can just cook it right in here. And you're basically in the pan with it gonna want to take it until it like really coats the green beans. And by that time everything will be nice and hot. So we've still got our stuffing in here, our vegetables are roasting in here, and our mashed potatoes are heating up in here. So probably about another 10 minutes and everything will be ready and we'll slice this bird. Okay, it's been about 6, 7, 8 more minutes, something like that. My green beans in the pan, they came up to a boil and they were reduced down nicely, and now my green beans are nice and glazed. And in our oven we have everything else. So I'm going to start with plating the green beans. But before I do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the Parker House rolls in the oven right now, just to warm them through, okay? So green bean casserole, I'm going to do in a bowl. And it's very simple. All I'm going to do is toss my green beans around in the sauce, and then come over here, and then just put them in the bowl. It smells incredible. It's super umami rich, and there's a bunch of different types of mushrooms in there, and there's also some pickled mushrooms in there as well to add a little bit of acid. Just make sure we get all the sauce on top of it. You can see how hot it is. On top of this, we're going to finish it with the fried onions and garlic. Boom. So we have our green bean casserole, classic Americana. Next, we're going to do our stuffing, I believe. Yeah. You can see the stuffing, nice and caramelized on top. You can feel it's nice and firm, so we know it's cooked all the way through. I'm going to serve mine on just a plate like this. So I'm going to get a big spoon. Go ahead. You can really just kind of scoop it out onto there. Just kind of like such. These pans are a little deceiving. They look a little small when you first see them, but then you get in them and there's a lot of food in them. And I love the edges of stuffing where all the bread's nice and crispy. Make sure that's on there. Okay, so there we have our stuffing. Next, we're going to do our mashed potatoes, and it's the same thing. We're going to take it out of the oven, we're going to stir it, and we're just going to pour it in a bowl. So we're going to take our tinfoil off. These actually need another minute, so we'll move on to the vegetables after this. Just need to give it a good stir. Put it in there probably another 5 minutes, just make sure it's hot. So I'm just going to throw this back on there. Okay, while we're waiting on our vegetables and our mashed potatoes, we're going to go ahead and just carve this turkey. We've got our other stuff and we're pretty much ready to go to the plate. The leg and the thigh are attached, obviously, and you can either leave it as is and serve it like that, or if you want, you can just flip it over, and then you kind of move it, and you can see it moves right here, so that's where the joint is, and you just cut straight down. So you can have a turkey leg and a turkey thigh. Okay? So we can feel this is still nice and hot, but it should be well rested, ready to go. So we're gonna go ahead and slice into it. So when you're doing this, this is the breastplate, and you're gonna go down on both sides. There's a bone that runs right here, and you're just basically gonna go down and out. So I'm going to slice. Just be careful when you're doing this not to cut yourself. Slicing down. Okay. Nice moist meat. Great. And then we're going to repeat on the other side. Oh, it's so good. And, you know, it's cooking, so if you undercook it just a little bit, you can always throw it back in. It's not that big of a deal. So we got both our breasts. I'm going to save this for turkey salad or something like that. And then once they're here, we're going to go ahead and just slice them. So use a sharp knife and just go straight down. Okay. And then same thing here. You can cut it as thick or as thin as you want. I like it a little bit thicker, especially when it's nice and juicy like this. So we've got our breasts and our dark meat. I go ahead and wipe this board down. Okay. And then we're going to remove our vegetables, which are nicely roasted now. You can just take the back of a spatula, just make sure they're not stuck. Don't push too hard because you don't want to rip them up. You just want to loosen them from the pan in case they stick a little bit. And then you can just go right into your bowl. And then to top this, we have our pomegranate relish. So it's red pomegranate seeds, a little bit of olive oil, some vinegar, and chives. It's really simple. Nice fall ingredient to have on top of our roasted vegetables to give it a little bit of brightness. So you can see there, roasted vegetables. And then lastly, we're gonna do our mashed potatoes and our Parker House rolls. Just feel the Parker House rolls. They should be fairly soft and nice and hot, okay? I'm just gonna go ahead and use a rubber spatula to kind of, you see the steam coming off of it so we know it's hot. And I'm just gonna kind of pick up my pan and go into my serving dish with these potatoes. You can see 5 more minutes and these things are just crazy hot. So we've got our mashed potatoes. And then lastly, we have our Parker House rolls. Just be careful, just tip them out, just ever so slightly. Put them on the plate. And then you've got soft butter in a ramekin, or in a little to-go container. And I have my own butter here. That we're gonna put on the side of the plate. And on top, I'm gonna put a little bit of finishing salt to season the butter. So there's that. So we've got our Parker House rolls with butter. We've got our turkey all roasted up. We've got our cranberry sauce, green bean casserole, stuffing, vegetables, mashed potatoes. And then lastly, the gravy that's been sitting here hot. You can either serve it on the side in a gravy boat for people, but since I'm just going to eat this, I'm going to pour it kind of at the base of the turkey. So the turkey's like sitting in gravy. And I'm going to pour some on my mashed potatoes. And I'm going to pour some on my stuffing. Because I know that's what I want to eat it on. That's it.